Hello everyone, it's Melanie. Today I'm working on the journal for the February challenge from Dear Julie Julie here on YouTube, and I'll link to her in the description below. The challenge this month is fabric, so she's calling it the February Fabric Junk Journal Challenge. And I'm a little late to the party, but I'm finally have some time to sit down and kind of work on it. So I was going to show you, I did my cover last night, and then I was going to show you the papers and things that I've selected so far to use, and then I might start putting some pages together. So while I watched her video, I took some notes. I didn't finish though. So I was just kind of going to go through my notes because there are a lot of different what you can use and how many of. So what I decided to do was just go through and pull everything that I was going to use, and then once I have all of that together, then I'll know this is what I can use to make my journal, so I can pull from these items. So let me show you my cover first. This is made with the inside. What gives it the structure is a piece of 18 by 24 140-pound watercolor paper. So the inside is a piece of watercolor paper folded over in half, so it's two thicknesses of 140-pound. And then I stitched, to the inside I stitched some new quilt fabric, some quilting cotton, and then to the outside I stitched some scraps from an old quilt. And years ago I bought a big bag of scraps from cutter quilts. So they're literally like somebody else had already cut up quilts, and it's the leftover pieces from that. So this was a good size piece that I could use for my cover, but it had whoever had it had cut things out and had drawn big circles around this. So can you see here where I had to stitch on some fabric over these red, it's like bright red marker underneath there. And I tried patching it with a few different things, but I finally decided just to use some strips of this fabric from another piece and just stitch it on top to kind of hide that bright red marker. So I decided on a cover that closes completely. So this is the front, the spine, and then here's the back, and then what kind of becomes this becomes the flap. So it closes like this with a snap, and I made this closure for the front. So this is going to be actually one of my fabric embellishments that I need to make. So it measures out that I'm going to use 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper inside here. So let me show you what I've pulled together. So there's 15 different fabric functions that we have to include in the book as part of the challenge. So for those 15 fabric functions, here's my progress so far. I've got the fabric cover, that's one, so that's done. I have to include 2 different fabric pockets or tucks. So I pulled these 2 pieces of old quilt and kind of trimmed them into pocket size, and then so these are the ones that I'll sew on as my 2 fabric pockets. So, and I can put extras, I just have to be sure that I include at least these items. So that's going to cover me on my 2 different fabric pockets. And then 1 fabric flip up. So I'm going to use this piece of an old like dresser topper or something like that. That's going to be my fabric flip page. And then 2 fabric edges. I think I'm going to use, I have in another old stash of old things, I have this, it's the, probably for a child's shirt or something. It's a scrap of the front that someone hand bound the buttonholes. And it's not something, I mean, what am I going to use it for? I can't. So I thought, oh, that would make a great edge page for this particular journal. And then this was just a really old tattered up piece of quilt scrap that I thought I might use as another fabric edge. So I may change it up. I may not use the buttonhole ones. I might want to use that. I can't decide. I may decide to use it in a textile collage, but for now I have my 2 fabric edges. So I'm going to need 4 different assorted fabric embellishments. So my first one is this one that I'm going to have on the closure. So that's 1. So I still need to make 3 more fabric embellishments. And then a fabric page. So I went through some of my old scraps, and I have very few. For me to be able to cut up a vintage linens or something, it has to be in just horrid condition, which this one was. So I cut it into 4ths, and I may use this as part of a fabric page. I'm not sure. I've also got this one, but I may just get a totally different piece of fabric to use for that. And then these are just some scraps that I'm going to use elsewhere in the journal. So that's what I have so far of my fabric elements that I have to include. So moving on to papers. So I can use 5, no more than 5 of each of these types of paper in each signature. And because my spine is pretty large, I think it's 1.5 inch. Oh no, it's 2 inches. I have a 2-inch spine. I'm going to do 3 signatures. So that means I can put 5 pieces of copy paper in each signature. So that's a total of 15 pages. So this is the copy paper I'm going to use. I was going to use tea-dyed paper, but I don't have enough right now. So I'm just going to go with this kind of creamy, speckly looking copy paper. So that's my copy paper. And then 5 assorted pages. So that's where we can use ledger, grid, map, vellum. All I pulled so far was ledger paper, and I only pulled 3 pages, which is 1 for each signature. So I'm gonna probably have to go back to that one if I need more pages. Book pages are here, so I can have 5 book pages per signature. So what I pulled for these are from a needlework book. So I've got 1 for each signature of those. And then these are from a Berlitz Italian textbook. So I've got 1 for each signature of those. And then this is from a Golden Book Encyclopedia. Some pages from the encyclopedia. So far that's 1, 2, 3. And then I've got some pages from a wildflower book, the wildlife or wildflowers of North America or something like that. So there's 1 for each signature. So there's 3 of those. And then the last one, I pulled some pages from another embroidery book. And there's 1 for each signature of those. So that comes out total to 5 book pages per signature. So that's what I'm going to use there. And then I'm going to mark that off so I know I have it. And then I can use 5 pieces of plain cardstock in any color. And I have this craft papers cardstock. And I don't want to put too much cardstock into my pages or into my signatures because it's just so thick. But 2, 4, 6. I'm going to pull these out. That's 6. So that would be two pages or 2 pieces per signature if I decide to use this as my plain cardstock any color. So that's that. I can use printed cardstock. So for that, I pulled these 3 double-sided scrapbook paper pages. So I'm not sure how I might use them, but it's just, I only pulled 3, so it's 1 for each signature. So I can use those. That's my printed cardstock. And then I'm not sure how I want to incorporate this, if this can be my scrapbook paper or digital images. That may be how I have to use this, but this is these are the sheets from my digi-kit that I made, the digital kit of the vintage fabrics. So it really goes cute with these. So this may be what I use for my printed lightweight scrapbook paper or digital images. This might be what I use for that. And then moving on to the embellishments, we can have, and we can just have 5 of these total throughout the entire book. So I have 5 stickers, and these are punch outs that I made, or cuts from my DigiKits that I printed on sticker paper. So there's 5 stickers and 5 playing cards. I just pulled 5 assorted vintage playing cards. 5 die cuts. I think for the 5 die cuts, I'm going to use some of these Tim Holtz botanical cutouts. 5. So that will be my 5 die cuts. 5 postage stamps. I just grabbed a five. So I'll pull those just in case I want to use them. There's 5 postage stamps. So 5 ATC or Project Life cards. I have a bunch of cards that I made up that I already embellished with fabric. So I'm gonna pull 5 of these Project Life cards that have vintage fabric stitch on them. So there's 1, oh, that one's sweet, 5. So there's 5 Project Life cards. Let me mark these off too. So I've got 5 stickers, 5 playing cards, 5 die cuts, 5 postage stamps, 5 Project Life cards, tickets and tags. I can't really think of anything I want to use. So for my 5 assorted cards, which can be index cards or guest checks or greeting cards, so far all I pulled were these 4 index cards that I had coffee dyed. I don't have any other coffee dyed paper or index cards right now, but that's what I've pulled so far for that. I can use up to 5 envelopes per signature, but I'm only going to use 2. So I pulled these smaller envelopes, and then these are really big. I think they're actually like 11 inches long. Yeah, they're 11 inches long. But I think what I'm going to do is cut the flap off and just fold it in half and use it as a pocket. So I've got 3 of those, 1 for each signature, and then 3 of these small envelopes, 1 for each signature. So that's going to be my envelopes. And then for my 5 postcards, I have a little collection of the Singer trading cards from the late 1800s. And I just made some, I scanned them because I don't want to use my originals because they're kind of precious to me. So I scanned them and just reprinted pieces. So I'm going to cut these out and use 5 of these as my 5 postcards. The other things, I can put some doilies in, but I don't know if I want to. We'll see. And then I was trying to pull, you can use 5 pieces of junk mail, which I don't think I'm going to use. 5 assorted packaging items, or 5 just assorted junk. And here's just a piece of vintage packaging. So I'm definitely going to throw that in there. That's one of my pieces. And then somewhere I have some vintage zipper packaging that I'm also going to use. So that's what I have pulled together for my February fabric junk journal challenge. So I'm going to get started, I think, since I have enough paper, I'm going to get started pulling together signatures, putting my pages together. And the way I usually work is that I will put all my signatures together with the pages I'm going to use, and then I go back and embellish everything. And so, well, first I sew on the pockets and things like that, pockets and tuck spots, and then I'll go back through and embellish everything. And the last thing I'll end up doing is binding it. So go check out Julie's challenge. I think it's a lot of fun. It's fun to work within the parameters of something, and I like the idea, you know, that I could go through and just pull all these things that meet my requirements, and then this is what I have to work with to put together this journal. So I'm excited about this journal. I love the cover. I can't wait to see it come together. So check out Julie's challenge. Check out my other videos. Subscribe if you like this one, and give me a like, thumbs up. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.